Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Fivers Futures live trading session. I am Dave, your host, and I hope it's going to be another fun and an exciting one like yesterday. Yesterday we had a 1 versus 1 competition where you could, trade against me and win a 25K account. So it was an interesting one. Check out yesterday's live session, and you can see what it's all about. And we're thinking about bringing those more often. So if you like the idea, let me know in the comments. Give us a like, and we'll think about bringing it back. All right. Apart from that, we're gonna get into these charts. We're gonna analyze the markets and see what we can get into. All right, I was already in a trade pre-stream, which was working rather well. So I got in. We started, moving to the upside and found some rejection around those 29 170s. We'll just go back to the 1 minute chart, see what we can get, and now we are in negative territory. So we'll see if this area can get reclaimed. My stop is at the previous low, and if that works and we're able to continue to the upside, great. If not, then we'll get stopped out and reassess and see what other trades we can find. This was looking like a possible breakout for me, so we'll see what happens. I can quickly go over what I saw that made me enter this trade, which we're still in, by the way. Let's zoom out. Let's go to the daily chart. So if we look at the daily, and I'm going to turn my position off for, actually, let's get the orders out of the way. We'll leave the position in. So the idea is what? The idea is, well, we've pulled back, right, since for the past 3 days. This is a daily chart, by the way, of the Nasdaq. We pulled back and went down about 3%. And we saw, a nice recovery. So my idea was, okay, last time we had about a 2.5% pullback. We continued to push up. We had here about 1.3% pullback. We continued to push up. And here we pulled back, but we got to, those prior resistance levels. So in my opinion, I was like, okay, we found support here. We're pushing higher on the higher time frame. We got Harris Jakar in the house. How you doing? How you doing? Let me know if you are hearing me correctly. What's going on with my mic? My mic doesn't want to stay stable. I'll have Steve joining me in about an hour, around 10 o'clock. But in the meantime, let's see what we can get into. We're currently in the trade here looking for a continuation to the upside. If that does not work, then we'll look for shorts. But anyways, the first idea was this. I think we might see some continuation since we didn't see a massive drop here. We had the initial sell-off. Then this was somewhat of an indecision candle here. We saw an attempt to push lower, but not much follow through. So because of that, because we didn't have like a full candle here, an engulfing candle like this one on this day, and we saw, a large amount of volume. So definitely there was some selling, but buyers have been holding the price up. I was leaning bullish, right? Now, if we go on the 4-hour chart, I took my trade on the more or less open of the, closer to the open of this 4-hour candle. And it looked like we were going to see, a second push to the upside, because this move, in my opinion, engulfed everything that we did before here. We saw a lot of support around this area. So I was looking for some follow through earlier in the pre-market. zoom back to the 1 hour. So in Asia, we saw, a very decisive and impulsive move here, straight bullish action. And then to me, this was a small pullback, and I saw the opportunity as we were curling back up, so for some follow through to the upside. Of course, keeping in mind that we had some prior resistance here around the 29,150s, and then keeping in mind that the prior days, this was an area of rejection also. And, May 18th was also an area where we sold off from. So I was like, okay, we'll enter here with some small size. And that is the theory today. Basically, this impulse pullback, basically, if we could show it like this, impulse pullback. And in my opinion, we might get some continuation, keeping in mind that sellers might be sitting here, might be sitting here, or around these areas. So we'll see if we get follow through to the upside or not. But so far, we are in the long. And now, zooming even more, 15-minute chart, we could see that we have somewhat of an uptrend, right? And as you guys know, I like to, mark my trends with the line chart. Maybe it's clearer on a 5-minute here. But to me, this is a trend. This is a low of the trend. And we pulled back. Now, are we gonna be able to we tried to break out of the trend like we did here, but we pulled back. So are these levels gonna hold and we can hopefully continue to the upside, or are we gonna push lower, do a fake out to the downside, then continue up? Or maybe this is the end of this little trend and we'll go retest this and oscillate lower and go retest maybe these prior levels here around the 2900s. We'll see what happens. But that is the analysis for now, right? As I saw this impulse, I got into the trade. We started to move to the upside, found some resistance here, and now we're pulling back. So our stop is right here below this prior low. So far we're holding. We're seeing a little bit of volume here. So let's see what can happen once we get closer to the open. We're going to hold this trade and get stopped out, or we'll see follow through. We'll see what happens. Now, let's rotate to the ES. I have a little bit of a stuffy nose this morning. Apologies. So looking at the ES, we're seeing somewhat of a similar pattern formation here. Zoom back out on the dailies. Now, the ES also found support at these prior levels. So here was an area where we found resistance and we were looking, we realized that, okay, we found some support around this same area here. So buyers stepped back in and stopped the down move. And I have to say that the ES has looked more bullish than the Nasdaq right now. If we look at the candle formation, yes, we had that sell-off here, but we finished green on that indecision candle here on the ES, whereas on the Nasdaq we finished red. We tried to push lower. This was another I would call, it wasn't an total engulfing candle with huge pressure to the downside. And then we found buyers here. So we're seeing, okay, are we going to be able to hold and continue to push higher, or is this where we start to sell off from? So we'll see. Zooming in to the ES. We've seen, an impulsive move here. We tried to break out. That has failed. So let's see if we, get some continuation here prior to the open. Now, we're going to get our levels in for the ES. Yesterday, we had these levels marked out. we said that we had this trend going, and I said that all these, 1, 2, 3 areas here were all failed breakouts. Why? Well, we have a downtrend, right? We break out of the trend, get back into the trend, and then here we try to break out. Well, if we don't continue like this is a failed breakout. So we fail, we go back, we test the lows of the trend, try to break down again, but we find buyers with impulsivity, try to break out here. So in my opinion, we had, let's consider this attempt 1, this is attempt 2. In my opinion, attempt 3 might be the one to work. But if it doesn't, no problem at all. We reevaluate and try again. So this might be an area where we're probably curling back to the downside. We'll see what happens, because there is, a decent amount of rejection here on the ES. So it's looking a little bit more bearish now. And let's take a look at oil. Put some background music right now. All right. All right. Yeah. So looking at the, let's switch to trading view for a second. Oh, wrong window. All right, we got trading view here. Actually, I could load it here. Let me get this out of the way. One second, guys. All right, let's put this here. I want to keep 2 trading view windows open. I like to have one open as I'm trading. And we're going to put this one here. All right. So what are we looking at? Let's zoom into gold. Put gold up here. Let's get this volume profiles here. All right. Zooming out on the daily. So remember, I told you guys, I am seeing somewhat of a downtrend happening, right? And we had these levels marked out from, a couple of weeks ago. Now, on the daily, we tried. So we pushed up, pulled back, found some support here, and tried to break out. And here we were thinking, hey, maybe we're going to be able to break and push higher and go test those $5,000 levels. But that did not happen. We found resistance here, pulled back. We had somewhat of an attempt to buy here, to find support here around this liquidity area. And I keep saying liquidity, and we're going to talk about liquidity in a bit. And we had buyers step in again today. So is it going to be the day where we are able to reconquer these levels and push higher? Well, we'll find out. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. We're trying to curl up here, right? And I have this level marked out because I remember it was an important prior weekly close. As a matter of fact, let me go to the weekly. Okay, I remember marking out this level because this is where we closed once we had that, sell-off, that we had the recovery here. And I think this is a pretty interesting level. If we are able to remain above this level, I think we'll probably be able to curl back up this week. But if we're not able to hold this level, then will continue to the downside, and there's, I think, a fair amount of liquidity around this area here, right? I think if we push lower, there's a lot of orders that will be taken out here, and I think this is a pretty key level around that 40. I would call it, let's call it 475, right? Zooming into the 4 hour, we're trying to curl up here. Will we be able to curl back up and reconquer, you know, this area? Maybe pull back from here and go retest those highs? Well, only time will tell, because there's a decent amount of pressure on gold these days, right? We've seen rising yields. If we look at the dollar looks strong. So that's something to consider when it comes to gold. Now, zooming into the hourlies, we're also continuing to see some buying here. So can we get follow through? Now, if we look at these volume profiles, we can see that, okay, we're trading above the point of control here. And there is this whole cluster around here where we had a huge amount of volume traded. So if we do tap into these levels, right, around those 45.50s, right around 45, yeah, 45.40, 45.50s, we have to consider that, okay, we might see some resistance here, even prior, because you see here we have a very low volume node here. So these are areas where we could pivot from. So we'll see what happens after the opening bell. But it's been steady buying since 1 a.m. Eastern on gold, continuing to push higher, but we're seeing basically a lot of indecision here. We're not seeing a lot of impulsivity to the upside. Considering this prior resistance level, we are right at that pocket of resistance where, you know, shorts are probably piling in, and breakout traders are trying to get in and trying to push this higher. If we look at this candle right here, this was probably, you know, shorts covering and buyers stepping in to kind of try to push the asset higher. But we've seen downward pressure here right before the open, where we're trying to push this lower. So we'll see what happens once we open. Now we're going to take a quick look at oil. Before we take a look at oil, let's look at the position on the NQ. Okay, so we're definitely we're definitely losing that level here, this area. So our stop is here, and let's just get the levels here, show orders. All right, our stop is, you know, 50 points below. We were risking 50, trying to make 100. So if this continues lower, then we'll get stopped out, and then we'll have to reevaluate. So about 10 minutes until we open. We'll see what happens. Let's switch and check out oil. Okay, so I see a question here from Shankaram. How you doing? How you doing? The futures for the Treasury futures are the, let me get this, the ZN for the 10-year note, the ZF, the ZT, and the ZQ. These are the instruments I take a look at sometimes, but I also have another list here. Actually, let me pull it up here. Give me 1 second. Let me switch here to portfolio, and I have a few assets I'll take a look at here. The 20-year, the 10-year. I mostly look at the 10-year, and this is usually what I'm looking at for yields. And if we switch to a daily time frame, you can see that, you know, for the past few days, and since the beginning of, you know, end of April, beginning of May, we've been steadily climbing on the 10-year. We've gone from, what is it, 4.25 to 4.65. And then you can do a comparison. If we put gold here, put this on a daily chart, you can see the inverse correlation. All right, so as the yields have been rising, the safe haven has been declining. So it's pretty easy to see here. So Shangaram, that's what I look at. All right, so here we're gonna go back to oil. So I have my oil marked out here. This is again a daily chart. We have been, let me hide this for a second. So Epic Fury started around here, the war in Iran. So, you know, February 26th. That means we've been in this situation for 57 bars, so 57 trading sessions, 82 days, which is almost 3 months, right? So this whole area here represents about 3 months of trading, and we've oscillated up and down. We're consolidating here on a higher time frame. Actually, I want to look at this on a weekly time frame to check out. Man, look at this. This is a mess. But this looks like, for, you know, my traditional traders here, this definitely looks like a huge wedge, right? If you look at it like this, right? The pole here. So if we do explode to the upside, well, technical analysis says you measure the width of the triangle, and then you place it here. That gives us about $142. I would say about $150 is what I would call it. So there is a strong possibility, if we can't find a resolution, that oil continues to push higher. So we'll see. Hey Justin, welcome back. No problem, Shankaram, my pleasure. But that's what I look at. So now you know. Yeah, so, you know, if we look at this strictly on a technical, we strictly put a technical lens on that, there's a high probability that we might see follow through to the upside, right? Let's zoom in a little bit. 4-hour chart, we're seeing it curl down a little bit. We're trading around 102. So we'll see what happens. What I'm interested in really now is what Nvidia does after earnings, right? We're gonna have Nvidia earnings in the afternoon. Let me make sure I have so this afternoon, let me see something. There's no date on TradingView. All right, it's fine. Back to chart. But I'm interested in those earnings, and most of all, what does the price do after the earnings? So today might be, you know, a muted session. We'll see. But, you know, back to the NQ. We'll see if we can push up. We're about 4 minutes from the open. So let's see what the assets are going to do. We took a look at gold. We took a look at the NQ, took a look at the ES. Let's look at the, oh, the Dow Jones is looking nice. Dow Jones is looking prepped. Maybe we should have been long the Dow Jones. Let's zoom in. Dow Jones is looking nice. Let's see how our trade's doing. All right, we almost got wicked out of the trade, but we're holding. We'll see if we can push further up. If not, we'll get stopped out and reevaluate. Justin saying it was a wonderful experience yesterday. First time with futures. No problem. That's why I recommend, that's why I asked you. I was like, hey, do you want to trade the NQ or the MNQ? And I recommend you guys start with the micros instead of the minis, because if you're risking, so let me show you a quick example here. Right here, and I'll put this in dollar terms. This way you don't see the amount of points, you actually see the dollars. So right now I'm losing about 50 bucks. And we've moved 32 points. So if you're trading the MNQ, you're risking $2 per point, right? Whereas if we're trading the NQ, you're risking 10 times that. You're risking $20 per point, right? So every time you move 1 point, you lose $20. Whereas here, you're only risking $2 per point. So if you're trading, for example, a 25K account with the fivers, where your risk, your maximum loss is 3%, so 750 bucks. Well, you want to be trading the micros. And if you're trading the, for example, the ES, well, the ES is $50 a point. Whereas if you're trading the MES, which you'll see me trade, you're risking $5 a point. So that's why you need to, you know, take into consideration which asset you're trading. And for example, if you're trading oil, if you're trading CL, you're risking $1,000 per point, right? Why? Well, that's how the contracts have been established. All right, we're about to get stopped out here of our first trade. No problem at all. We're seeing downwards pressure, and this is pretty intense because we're about to open. So we'll see what so we saw a failed breakout here, right? So what we had the impulse pull back, we tried to break out, and then the shorts entered, and now we're you know, going back to the downside. So we'll see what happens once we open. We're about 30 seconds from the open. We'll see what happens. Is this a fake move to the downside where, you know, we'll fake out and revert right back up? Or is this going to be, you know, a breakdown, a retest, and then a follow through? And then we'll determine where we can take our trade. But back to what I was talking about. Well, buyers are re-entering. Let's see what we get. Let me put this on a 1 minute. This way we can see it. And then we'll put the 5 minute on the right. So I have my support and resistance levels already set. I have a little bit of a trend going on here, and we'll see what we get. Yeah, Justin, no wonder. So that's, you know, what I know coming from CFDs is a little bit different. It might be easier to manage your risk on CFDs, but you have to take that into consideration in futures because, well, on the plus side, when you're making profits, you can make huge profits very fast. But the downside of it is also when you're taking losses, they can be just as pronounced and just as large. So I recommend if you're starting out with futures, you know, start with the micro contracts. And you could go, for example, on the Dow. It's easier. The Dow it's easier to manage your risk on the micro Dow. Okay, we're seeing buyers definitely step in here. Kind of want to try another long, honestly. because I've been long biased, but this might just be a retest of that previous resistance pocket. So we'll see what we get. Let's see. Shankar, I'm saying with oil holding above 100, it's already causing uncertainty in Asia. Many countries in this part of the world are already on the edge of heavy financial burden. Sentiment is nervous. Yes, I totally get that. So hi Tubagu, welcome back. Positive Nasdaq session. You prefer long? Yeah, I was long on the Nasdaq, but got stopped out here. But this might have been just a liquidity grab. So you know what? I'm gonna try another long just for the fun of it. We're gonna risk the low here and see if we take off. And then if that doesn't happen, that's kind of a field trade, not a real big strategy here, just following my bias. Just because, you know, if we see some aggressive buying, we're seeing some downwards pressure here. So that if we're not able to break through, then that gives me information for the next trade. So as usual, we'll put this above here and then we'll reevaluate. This is just a feeler trade. Just because, you know, I think this might have been failed breakout, breakdown, we catch liquidity, and then maybe we push to the upside. So let's see if we can get that or not. If that doesn't work, well, that means that we need some more strength to come in. All right, let me take a quick look. And sorry, guys, I have a little bit of a stuffy nose this morning, so bear with me. All right, let me pull up the Nasdaq up here. Let me see something really quickly. All right, we're definitely seeing some downward pressure here. Yeah, Shankar, I'm saying not sure how North America is handling the oil price surge with inflation creeping higher. Well, I have to say, you know, the price is rising at the pump. In my area, we're about, you know, $1.50 higher in what, the past month and a half. $1.50 higher is considerable, you know. So I know a lot of people are angry. A lot of people are, you know, feeling the weight. I'm already seeing prices rising at the supermarkets. So it's not a great area to be. Now, we know that North America is, how do you call that? North America is self-sufficient when it comes to oil. So we're not going to be seeing droughts and stuff like that and rationing, at least not for the time being. But we are seeing prices rising, right? And we're seeing a lot of layoffs. We're seeing a lot of layoffs and not a lot of hiring going on. So all right, this did not work fast enough, so I'm gonna just get out, take a small loss, and then we'll wait for an actual good entry. Yeah, because this took too much time to take off, and I don't know. You know, when you trade for a long time, you kind of have a feel for these things, and if a candle does not take off within a certain amount of time, then you kind of know, okay, this is not yet ready, this is not primed. So when it comes to Asia, I know a lot of the oil, a lot of the fuel comes from the Middle East, you know. So Asia is probably going to see a lot more pressure. I've heard of rationing in those areas right now when it comes to oil. So I don't know. It's really unfortunate that we're going through this situation. And hopefully that can get resolved soon. So we'll see. Good morning, Tubagu. Seems a part of it says you prefer long on Nasdaq. Okay. You believe Nasdaq will be testing the previous resistance. Let's see. That's your TP area. Okay. No problem. Let's see how the NQ behaves, and we'll see if we can get some trades going. Just made a couple of quick attempts here. Took on the 1 minute. So ES selling off pretty sharply right now. Let me look at, yeah, gold selling off as well. Actually, gold looks interesting for a short. We barcoded a lot on gold, so not 100% convinced yet. NQ definitely selling off here. So where I had my long entry was a good short entry with that pocket. I thought that maybe we could, we pulled back and then we would probably see some kind of a quick squeeze to the upside to test the upper end of the range here, but that did not happen. So now that we're selling off, what we're gonna do is wait and see if we get a retest. We'll see what happens around this pocket of resistance here. We just have to keep in mind that overall bigger picture, so on the daily, a lot of people right now are deciding, okay, is this just a pullback? Is this just a pullback where we're gonna, curl back up? Or is this the day where we've pulled back, we've retested the upper end of the wick here, and then we're actually gonna see follow through to the downside? So this is, somewhat of an area of indecision like we had on that day on the 18th. So until we get a little bit more confirmation, for me at least, anything could happen. We're definitely seeing some downward pressure. But you know what? Today, I'm going to use something I don't use often. I'm going to use an anchored VWAP from these highs. Because I want to see what's the average price being paid. What's going on here? Where's my anchored VWAP? Settings. I'll put it on the high. And then we'll put a second one. Where's the 930? Okay, that's the 930 high. I just want to see, in comparison to this, what's going on. All right. We're seeing some buying here, which is interesting to me, with some volume coming in. Yeah, we're definitely seeing buyers step in here. Maybe I was too early on my long. Let me see what happens. I'm being a little bit quiet today, guys, because the nose is really stuffy and the throat is kind of making me struggle here. But don't be, if you have questions, if you have anything you want to ask me, let me know. We're just looking at these charts right now, trying to see where we could find a possible setup. The way, the price action is right now, it's a little bit of indecision. We've shorted these highs, pushed lower. We found buyers here. We've pushed higher, and we're seeing that downward pressure again. So let's see what we get. Tobago, you're saying the Nasdaq will test the previous resistance as per your strategies. Which resistance are you talking about? Gold selling off, though. Yeah, dollar weakening a bit. Looking at it, I'm looking at the DXY right now. Then looking at oil pushing lower, which might be good for the index. It feels like we're probably going to form some kind of wedge here. So we might see something. We might see a retest here or a breakout. We'll see. We do have the range. So this is our range right now. We're trading above the 50% area of the range, which is showing bullishness. So I might want to scale in, honestly. Because I think if we're gonna go up, it's gonna be a decisive break to the upside. And we're probably going to blast through there. ES is looking better for an entry for me for the Nasdaq. Ah, man, you see, that's what I was talking about. I think shorts are going to get squeezed. Let's see if the ES gives us a better opportunity. Let's get in on the ES. I'm going to put a market order in right now. This is an opening range breakout setup. That's what I was waiting for. Nasdaq is struggling a little bit with those highs. ES is looking better, in my opinion. Even if we kind of pull back from here, get a retest of these lows, I'll probably add to the trade. We'll see. But ES is looking a lot more constructive for me. I think the move is cleaner on the ES in comparison to the Nasdaq. So let's see what we get. We're long the ES at 7,400. Target number one would be 74.19, more or less, 74.20. Just around this area. Now we need to be conscious that this area, this pocket of resistance here, could be where we sell off, right? But we're looking good so far on the ES. We're gonna make this a scalp. We didn't have time. I hesitated here on the NQ. We've reached that, you know, the high of the trend here. And now we want to find out, okay, can we break out of this trend? Because this is a short squeeze. Fortunately, we didn't have time to get it on the NQ, but we're taking the trade on the ES. I don't know if you guys understood why I took the trade on the ES instead of the Nasdaq. No, I'm not feeling. You can actually, it helps me when you guys ask questions, because that's why it's here. I'm not feeling discomfort at all. You know, we're trading very small size here, guys, so this is comfortable. This is perfectly fine for me. We're chilling here. Ask as many questions as you like. I enjoy this, so fire away. As a matter of fact, it helps me, you know, not overmanage the trade. And we're trading, I always say this, we're trading tiny size because I want to show you guys that, hey, you don't have to go crazy with your trades. So no, please ask away. So remember when I said, okay, we need to look at this pocket of resistance, we might see some selling. That's what's going on right now. So right at this level here, and the logic behind it is simple. This is where we found, you know, we blast through here, we pulled back twice, we tried to pull up here. This was the first area of support, so that area of support becomes resistance next time we go and test it. So it's normal that we see selling here, but we don't panic yet, because that selling might be an opportunity for us to add. And I kind of want to put some limit orders around, I would say maybe here, even all the way down here. So we'll see. Now we're gonna do our range on the ES. Now, of course, if this is too aggressive, then that means that shorts have re-entered and we're wrong. This is a little bit too aggressive for me. We might see a sweep. You know what? I'm gonna do something I don't like to do often, but I'm gonna keep my stop maybe 10 points below, just because this might be a liquidity sweep, and the concept of the week is liquidity concepts, which I'm going to talk about. So this is our opening range. Actually, no, our opening range is prior to that. It's here. First 15 minutes is here, because we took an opening range breakout. This is our opening range. And then we got to the 50% area. So you see, I mean, when you understand these concepts, it makes it much easier to trade. And you see how, you know, okay, I can add here actually. So we'll add, still gonna risk this low. Take profit, one stays here. We're seeing some pressure here, some real pressure to the downside. So if we don't get that sweep and you know, revert back to the upside, then I'll be wrong, and that's fine. Yeah, we're trading very, very small size here. Yeah, so the idea that I wanted to show you guys is what? Remember, before we sold off here, I said, hey, that's where we might see some resistance. Well, two things you should keep in mind. We pulled back, buyer stepped in, we moved up, right? When we got to here, we saw some sell-off. Well, why? Multiple reasons. Number one, we reached that prior pocket of resistance, right? Where this was support. So this is a logical area where we need to sell. But if we compare it to the opening range, look at how accurate this level was. Opening range here, we had a range of about 20 points, right? Well, we copy the range, put it to the upside, and exactly smack dab at the 50% area of the range, we got that pullback. Why is that? Well, think of it this way. This is, so for anybody who bought here and who's risking the prior lows, right? This is about a 30-point move. So the logic is what? You're probably risking 10 points to make 20 points, right? And if we go again to the upside, and I can add here again. So we added, and now I'm going to manage the risk a little bit better. We're going to risk the prior low, because if we're really bullish now, that means we're going to push higher up, right? And first take profit is going to be right before this. Second take profit is going to be for 20 points. So right here. And we'll see if we can get followed through to the upside. And then the third take profit is kind of, you know, optional, variable. If we see follow through for an extra range, what we could do is have our second one right before the 50% here, and then the third one up there. We'll see if we can get that. But yeah, if we do get follow through, these are the areas where we're looking to take profit. Why? Well, if traders are re-entering here, they're risking, if of course they are re-entering and we're not in the, it's not the shorts taking back control. And I don't think it's the shorts taking back control just yet, because we had a pullback, we tried to push lower, and then we had a huge increase in volume here and price curling back up. So I think this might have been our reversal candle on the 1 minute. We'll see if it's true or not, no problem. But the idea is what? You're risking 10 to make 20, and 20 is right here. So that's why we saw that, most likely that's why we saw this pullback. I guess I entered a little bit too soon because we might see a liquidity grab here. I thought we would have the follow through sooner. It's about to be 10 o'clock, so we'll see. Seeing a lot of downward pressure. Let's take a quick look at the NQ. So NQ still trading above, around the 50% of the range. So let's see if buyers step in. These days, because we're kind of in the indecision area overall, we're seeing a lot of sideways consolidation before we get the actual moves. So let's see. Asian session. All right, it looks like we're gonna grab liquidity here. Shankar saying Asian session wasn't very profitable today with Globex indices moving back and forth. Trading nowadays requires a lot more screen time. Yeah, these days, since we're kind of pulling back, we're kind of in this indecision area. We're not seeing a lot of follow through, right? When we were having the uptrend, a couple, maybe a week ago, a move like this would have been followed by a pullback, and then we would have seen impulsive buying and a follow through to the upside. So you kind of have to adjust your trading to that. Maybe do a lot more scalping, a lot more in and out trades. So, maybe when I got in, should have taken my profit right here when I expected the profit to be taken, and then wait for a curl up, get back in. But honestly, I don't want to be doing 1,000 things live on stream. Maybe if I wasn't talking and trading, I could be doing that. But for now, we're kind of, holding. And then if the trade works out, it works out. If it doesn't, well, we take our stop and then we reevaluate and take another trade. So we're going to wait. We're going to see what happens at 10 o'clock, if we're going to get follow through or not. Let's see on the hourly what that looks like. I mean, we're seeing a decent amount of buying here. So we might see follow through, but this is a pretty large wick here. So a lot of liquidity in this area. So basically from here to here, a lot of liquidity. And they might want to, that's what I was saying before. That's why I had my stop lower. But now I need to control the risk. We might see, push lower, liquidity gets grabbed around here, and then we revert back to the upside. But if that's not the case, then we'll push to the downside. Let's see. Yeah, this is looking more and more bearish for now. Let's just wait and see what happens at 10 o'clock. Hector Lopez saying, is that S&P 500? Yes, that is the ES. So the S&P 500. I'm trading the micros. Yeah, we didn't see the aggressiveness here of the buyers. So I'll give it maybe one more candle. Maybe I don't want to take that full loss here. Tobago saying, you believe it's because of the fear side, the volatility will increase. You never went into the Asian session because of noise. Yeah, the Asian session can be tricky. Sometimes the Asian session is the best session because you can get into a trade. It's happened to me where I get the best entry, maybe an hour or two after the Asian Open. And then I'm able to hold that trade for 2-3 days. But usually it's a very noisy session where you don't often get clear direction. So if I don't see immediate follow through on this candle, I think I'm closing the trade and reevaluating and waiting for another cleaner setup. So we're gonna wait to see what happens after this this candle. But a lot of downwards pressure so far. Well, Shankar, I'm saying you guess having a proper take profit is a must. Yeah, I think having a proper take profit is definitely a must. You need to definitely know when you're getting in, when you're getting out. And it's going to depend on your style. Are you more of a scalper, or are you trying to hold for multiple minutes or hours like I'm trying to do here? But definitely have your levels defined. And you can adjust based on what the price does. All right, we're gonna hit out of this trade because I'm not seeing the follow through that I want to see to the upside, and we'll have to reevaluate. So this is either gonna be a liquidity sweep. So what I was waiting for was, okay, are we gonna get that curl back up, and we can go and retest those levels. And it's not necessary for me to take a full stop here because of how the price action is happening. It's just helping you manage your risk better. Why take a full loss when it's not necessary? It's not like it wigged down and wigged me out. So we'll take a smaller loss, reevaluate, and take another trade. My bias is not entirely short just yet, right? Why? Because if I compare, I've been looking at the NQ. Every time you see me look up, I'm looking at the NQ. It's not very clearly defined where we are right now. It's looking more bearish than bullish, but something tells me that this might be, we tried to push up, we push lower. This might be where buyers step back in around this liquidity level, and then we go to the upside. I am not 100% convinced yet that this is the sell-off. So we'll wait and see. So a couple ways we can enter. We see the sweep. We see it hold a wick down on volume. Then we buy again to go test these upper levels. If that doesn't happen, if it's not a sweep, then we will push lower. We'll wait for somewhat of a retest, or maybe start scaling in on the break, and then add to that short if it happens. So we'll wait and see. But back to what Shankaram was saying. Yes, it's important to have a important take profit level, but I want to give my take on break even, moving your stop to break even. I am totally for moving your stop to break even when it makes sense, right? So for example, let's say you entered on this break with one contract, right? And then your target was here, for example. So you enter right on the break like I was doing, and then your target is not that this area, your target is here, right? Well, if your trade, your setup is a scalp, right? You get this second candle right here, and then you don't see follow through. I'm totally okay with you moving your stop to break even. Why? Well, you don't need to take the loss. Because your idea is what? Your idea is, I'm entering a breakout. I need immediate follow through to my TP. If you're not taking a scalp, if you're doing kind of what I was doing, my idea was what? We broke out, so I scale in because I don't want it to run away from me. If it's a short squeeze, I want to get some of that little bit of profit. I have multiple targets. And if this doesn't work, what I'm looking for is a pullback, a retest of the upper end of the range, and then a continuation to the upside. Then you don't need to move your stop to break even. Why? Because you don't know how deep the pullback is going to be. Is it going to be up there? Is it going to be down here? Is it going to be a liquidity sweep? So in my idea, I was like, okay, I needed to curl from here, either here or maybe around VWAP. It started behaving like that. It started showing signs of follow through. And then right as it got to here, we saw, okay, we stayed under the opening range. So we had selling going on here. Well, that means my thesis is not correct. Then I hit out. I don't need to take a full stop, right? I don't need to watch this bleed forever for my trade to work out. Why? If this is an actual sweep, well, we'll see it, we'll re-enter. But if it's not a sweep and it's actually going to turn into a short, why do I need to let this bleed more, right? So that is it. You guys need to think, okay, this is just one trade. If you're taking 1,000 trades in a year, you're not even going to remember that one trade. So break evens are totally fine when they make sense, when they go according to your plan. Don't just move to break even to move to break even. Move to break even because that's where it makes sense. You're entering a scalp. You want to, what do you want to see for your trade to be confirmed? Well, I entered here. I wanted to break straight up to the upside, and then I don't want it to pull back before it gets to here. If that's not happening, I hit break even. That's totally fine. All right. But you're entering maybe a longer term trade that you're going to hold for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, a day, where you actually want to let price move. Then that, don't put your price to break even. But you could definitely take partial stops, or take, you know, instead of taking a full 1R or 2R loss, you turn it into maybe half an R, and that's totally better. Welcome, Aja. You said gold can be bearish again. I've been watching gold. Okay, so this is kind of what I was looking for. We are seeing a little bit of buying here again. And this is where I might want to re-enter the trade. Let me just take a quick look at the NQ. All right, we're gonna attempt another. I'm gonna put a buy stop here. Stop is 20 points below. We'll see if we get follow through on this one. I'll give it a little bit more space to move. Why? Because this could go immediately, or this could be actually a little bit of an attempt. Then we get that liquidity sweep that I've been talking about, and then we go to the upside. If that doesn't happen, then we'll be wrong again. And honestly, the reason I haven't been short biased yet is because of the price action we saw here, right? I saw aggressive buying here. If we were going to be short immediately, I should have seen, you know, this candle drop, a little bit of a pullback, and follow through to the downside. We did not see that. And we're seeing kind of a subdued move. So I'm gonna wait before I change my bias here. Put this on an hourly. I think this might just be, you know, us capturing liquidity. Again, I might be totally wrong. And I want to try to get multiple contracts here on this, on the ES. So we'll see. See a lot of comments here. Thanks for sharing. You think gold can be bearish? Yeah, I think gold can be bearish. Gold, it has been bearish. Gold has been selling off. Okay, that's not that little W I was looking for. Let's see if we get it. If we do, I'll add. I only want to add if it breaks above this again. So after it sweeps here, this is kind of our make or break area. And then if this long doesn't work, then I'll switch to shorts, and I'll be looking for shorts. Tubago saying market is waiting for FOMC minutes. Possibly. We have FOMC minutes at 1 p.m. today. So highly likely. That's why we're seeing this trickle down, this trickle to the downside. And what happens is when you're trickling down like that, that can just continue all day. So all right, so next candle after that needs to just break to the upside. If that doesn't happen, then it's not a liquidity sweep, and we are bearish. So we see increased volume here with the selling. All right, we're wrong. All right, let's look at the NQ. Shangram saying, Tubago saying it's not going anywhere until FOMC minutes. Yeah, I think we're probably going to trickle down or maybe continue to move sideways. I don't know. We'll see. But we're definitely selling off, and I'm 0 for 2 for now. So waiting. Man, is that all right? That's what I was waiting for. We'll get back in. Let's see if we get that volume. Huge volume coming in. That's the sweep I was looking for. I was a little bit too early. But we're seeing the aggression right now. Hopefully we see follow through and it's not a, just a fake out, because I've seen a lot of those as well. How's the Nasdaq looking? Nasdaq is looking good. Not too much of a fan of that wick, but let's see if we get that follow through. That might have just been shorts covering. What will happen sometimes when we have these impulses, if we don't get immediate follow through, and I would rather immediate follow through, is we get a curl like that. But what I want right now is, for shorts to be panicking, and then we continue to the upside. So let's see if we can get that. Looking good on the 5-minute. So I think that was a liquidity sweep, and hopefully we can push to the upside. All right. I got my man Steve in the house. How you doing?
Yo. Hey, thanks for letting me come on late here, Dave. How you doing today?
No problem. Doing good. We're seeing if we can recover those initial couple of losses and get followed through to the upside. The concept of the week is, talking about liquidity and stuff like that. And we just saw liquidity sweep. We just got into the trade, and so far so good. So, let's see what we do. There's a lot of, I'm sorry?
Just nice entry there. That's an explosive move that you just caught. I'm just opening the charts here, and that's amazing. Look at that.
We'll see. First take profit is around, the prior high. So we'll see if we can get that.
Very nice. Very
and
nice.
then the next one is fairly open.
Wow. I'm in awe. So I was able to look at the charts one time so
All
far.
Right, we got the first one, and we're just climbing. Is there news? That looks like news.
Checking right now.
All right, chat. We got the first one. We expect a pullback here. Hopefully, it doesn't completely fall apart.
Man, that's a big candle.
Yeah, it's a huge candle. Shankaram saying your explanation about the break-even was convincing. Learn a better method to exit a trade, reduce size. Nice. I'm glad I could help, Shankaram. Can you know my prediction of the gold price at the close of the week? Okay, I can't predict the prices, but we can look at definitely look at the asset and kind of get an idea of what it's going to do. All right, if we continue to get that explosiveness, my second target on the ES is going to be 74.50s. Let's see. That's 1, 2. Let's do a third one.
Dave, let's see. It looks like I did find the news. So I'm seeing from starting 5 minutes ago, we had a kind of like a little flurry here. So first off, it was the Pakistani army leader may visit Iran tomorrow to announce the final version of the agreement text. That's from Al Hadath, citing sources. Then they also continue to say the next round of negotiations will be held in Islamabad after the Hajj season. Apparently, I'm not sure what that means, but seems like good bullish news and just, a little bit of resolution on this front. And Dave, you know what? I saw something really interesting yesterday, and I wonder if somebody had a little inkling that things were maybe turning a little bit better over in the Middle East, because somebody bet a lot that oil was going down.
Really?
A whole bunch. Yeah, it was like, I forget the amount of notional, but it was quite a significant amount of USO put spreads, I believe, targeting the next week or two. So
wow,
they're doing well so far.
I bet somebody always knows something. It's crazy.
Yeah, following those, I wish there wasn't so much alpha there, because I want to say just trust the charts. Don't worry about these anomalies. But hey, the anomalies can be very, very profitable.
Indeed.
On occasion. So definitely worth keeping an eye on there. On ES, I'm seeing this kind of I like the back test of the morning range here, that orb. And it seems to me like it's trying its best to hold on here. I think you might get your second reach target here pretty soon.
Yep. We'll see if we get it. By the way, we were talking about break even. So Shankaram, right now is a good scenario where putting your stop at break even makes sense. Why? We had a huge impulsive move to the upside. We pulled back and we're seeing buyers step back in, right? So at this point, if we look at the 1 minute chart, I put my stop right here. We look at the 5 minute chart. I am placed below this impulsive candle, and if we're going to have continuation to the upside, we shouldn't see a deep pullback. We just want to continue to see that whatever it is, we'll call it a short squeeze or impulsive buyers. We want to see continuation. So if we do see a pullback, then that means it's a failed move, so we don't need to give any profits back. So that's a situation where it makes sense to put your stop at break even, at least in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Steve.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. I think you explained that really well. And this is why risk management's the most important thing. Like you don't have to be super precise if you have like impeccable risk management like that. And I think, sorry, I'm getting distracted watching my option scanner, or I'm sorry, my gamma exposure.
Well, yeah, I'd like to know what the GEC, what is the GEC saying?
Let me show you, because this is a new one for me. All right, let me see if you can see that. Okay, looks like it's coming through.
Yeah, let me add that to the same. Give me 1 second.
essentially what I am seeing is just a massive buildup and like a flip from a bunch of puts to just a massive amount of calls at the 7,400 level. So that is wild and is going to act as a pin until we can get through there, and then we'd like to see the 74.10 or so get lit up. I need to adjust this to zoom in more. Right now it's showing too wide of a range, but the gist is that this red was significant to the left side here.
And then we just flipped.
Yeah, so let me refresh the data just to make sure there isn't any anomalies, because this is pretty new for me.
No problem, no problem.
Severe of a shift. But I mean, aligned with that big green candle, it's not the most surprising thing in the world, you know? That's also an anomaly. let me figure out if
no problem. I'll let you refresh, and I'll take some of those comments here. Tobago saying Nasdaq looking good. Yeah, looking great actually. And then Mr. is scary. I don't understand. You've provided valuable knowledge and predictions. Okay, well, glad you're enjoying it.
By the way, that 7,400 level on SPX, that's going to be 74.28, give or take here on ES, just for the record. So, yeah, basically we're kind of coiling under it there.
Yep. Yeah, so just around that, just around here.
Oh, that's interesting. Kind of like the equilibrium, the midpoint.
Yeah, the midpoint. And this morning, as I was saying, hey guys, watch out. If you're in a long, we might reverse here. It touched that midpoint and reversed exactly, on the dot. So I'm hoping that this area can act as support, or worst case scenario, this area here.
Let's
so
see.
Hopefully we can hold these levels and follow through.
I did just refresh my data to get a little bit of a fuller picture, and it is starting to fill out more. So the same basic premise is the same here. We still have this massive green bar, but I was like, where is the rest of my data population? So I did fix that. It's a weird little thing. So we still have this as the dominant level at 7,400 or 74.28 ES. Now I'm basically watching the development of this kind of green crest here to the upside of the 7,400, and more importantly, this red to the downside. What I'd really like to see is some of this weight come off the 73.75 to 73.50 strikes, and that's going to give us enough room, as it kind of adjusts there again, and that's going to give it enough room for us to basically kind of pop up against this big level multiple times, and in positive gamma, eventually we should eat through as these bigger levels grow. But the only thing that can kind of stop that is if these stay really steady or even grow and provide a reason to break structure to the downside, essentially.
Yep. Let's see what we get. The only inconvenience here is that it popped on, that ephemeral news. So since we were seeing a lot of downside pressure all morning, this might have just been, a one-time thing, and then we this was just better short entries. So we'll see what we get.
Yeah, the set 7360 is going to be your zero gamma level. So that's where we really want to hold, and that on ES will be, I believe, yeah, just under 7,400 ES, so 7388, roughly there.
All right.
As long as we're above that, I think that we kind of pin to this 7,400 and wait and see which side wins. But I don't know, Dave, how do you feel about maybe it's just a day that messes with everybody into NVIDIA earnings? That's also,
I think, yeah, I'm very conscious of the earnings. I'm actually waiting for them to see what the market does, right? I've been comparing NVIDIA and the NQ, and it's just, they look like twins since the past couple of days. So I really want to see what's going to happen once we get those earning numbers. And we have today FOMC minutes around 1 p.m. And we spoke about it in large on Friday. We're getting a new Fed chair. So, all these things to take into consideration. I think the market's kind of figuring out, okay, where are we? What are we doing? If you zoom out, Let me just put this up here. Ooh, Dow Jones looking nice. Let's look at the Nasdaq on a weekly chart first.
See, it looks like we're still seeing my GEX scanner here, by the way.
Yep, I'm gonna switch to my screen just in a sec. Put this like that. This way I know what I'm looking at. All right. So, actually, let me just go on a daily chart. So we had, this sort of a pullback here, and then this indecision day on May 18th, so on Monday. But I think what's been happening for the past 2 days is the market trying to decide, okay, was this just a quick pullback here? What is it, 3%? Yeah, about 3.5%. Was this just a quick pullback for us to just continue to the upside, or are we going to see some more selling? And since yesterday, at least on the futures side, since yesterday evening, it's been pretty constructive. We've been seeing a lot of buying. We've been seeing continuous steady move to the upside. So this might just be a pullback and a curl back up here. So this weird, I don't want to call it weird because it's the market, this difficult price action we've seen for the past few days. So if we go on an hourly chart, I'm talking about kind of this, oh, come on. When I'm switching platforms, I'm confusing the controls from one to the other. Because, you could hold control on the black arrow. So yeah, this whole kind of zigzagging we've seen here, and I'll consider this and this and this to be 3 attempts of breaking back to the upside.
Yeah.
Is the market deciding, okay, is this just a pullback, or are we going to continue lower? But guess what? We've been buying, and this might just be the curl back up. We'll see.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's got to break eventually, right? And yeah, we were watching the same thing, this kind of breakout of this channel, or downtrend line channel, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially a change of character here. And the tricky part is we're getting it into a binary print. So is the market right in front running it, or is the market in mess people up mode? This morning session was definitely a mess people up mode so far. I hate sessions like this, Dave.
Definitely. I tried to get long since 8 a.m. I took 3 back-to-back losses. It starts working and then they smash it right back down. So
super, just like, this price action makes me dejected. When they set a 15-minute range, instantly pop it to the upside with volume.
Yeah.
Well, okay, actually, now that I look at it, it wasn't massive volume, but still, that first 15-minute range push, it was enough that if I was watching it, I would have felt pretty good about that. And then it immediately back tests and just dies. Then the second that it looks like it's following through to the downside, whip it all the way back up, and now it looks like you're getting your continuation here any second, I do believe.
Let's switch. Yeah, it seems like we're getting that follow through. So we'll see. I basically have 3 targets. We could either get out here or here, or actually if we get this here. But it'll depend on the price action. This is kind of,
So for me, I do have some cam pivot kind of like just zones that tend to be like the ATR daily targets here. So these are like what I use for my system, just if I'm not sure where to get out. So I like 74.35 as well as 74.45. So those are the two kind of like, if SPY is going to move the average of what it has in the past 20 days, that would be kind of where a bullish day would reach to.
74.35, which would be right around, so right in between where I'm thinking of taking profits.
Yeah.
Or 45 is right before that 50% area here. So looks good. Again, since we're talking about moving stops at this point, you could consider moving your stop from break even, just maybe below this wick. So you could consider moving your stop here. Why? Because this move has been news induced. So news could come in and then they smash it right back down. So,
absolutely. Another thing is that we're approaching a liquidity level. So there will be profit taking, as we can see that first front running of the wick right there, because this is the weekly close.
Yep.
And that is at 74.08. So I would imagine it sweeps up here and then probably needs to pull back at least a little bit to retest this breakout, is what my mind would say is most likely. But
totally agree.
If it just surges through, that's going to tell us something too, right? So
yeah,
either way, good area.
I'm hoping we get another little squeeze there, and I'm kind of greedy. That's why we're leaving this up here. But you know, if I'm able to capture 40 to 50 points, then I'm happy. Well, we're at 38 points here, so we're probably we're close to that 40 area. And if I extend this line, makes sense. So yep, we'll see.
Crazy move there. Very, very nice trade.
Super nice move. Super nice move. I'm glad I was able to capture it after 2 failed attempts. And it's funny, this morning I was talking about, hey, we got in on this long, held, added here, didn't get that follow through. So I stopped out around here because I was like, okay, it's not worth waiting. And then I said, you know, it's totally possible we get somewhat of a liquidity sweep around here. And then we got that little green print here. I'm like, okay, let's try again. Well, guess what? No, it didn't work. I got out and then we saw the explosion here. So I immediately got back in. So, you know, taking paper cuts and then finally getting that setup we were looking for.
I love it. I love it. You gotta stay in the pocket, right? And I love your entry there because essentially you recognized that it was going to, you know, with the surge of that candle, it was going to engulf the kind of last little leg of red there after it tried to make the higher low and then said, just kidding, we're gonna run some stops.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like that kind of ICT concept of a bullish order block where price comes down, then rips back up. Also, of course, is a turtle soup thing, or as normal people call it, liquidity grabbing. You know, it just came down there and whipped it. But then you see the instant response, right? Just like the turtle soup to the upside where it broke that 15-minute range. The 15-minute range was set 1 minute before that initial morning high. So it's like, okay, we set the range and now we're going to, bam, smack, break it immediately, but instant negative reaction.
Yep.
So they collected a lot of liquidity and that could give us some room to push. Again, it's just into this big NVIDIA earnings. It's so tough to not have trust issues. I would have messed up today's session if I was trading, I think.
Today was a little tricky. Gold looking, oh my God, the gold is looking super, super nice right now. By the way, I had a quick glance here. Look at gold. Gold is just straight up. I mean, gold is not making you suffer. If you're just looking at a 5-minute, this is just, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost half an hour of straight green.
Crazy.
Let's see.
Oh, wow, an ARM is breaking out today, majorly. Wow. That's huge. Yep. ARM's up 15%. Just for any semiconductor investors, that is an impressive move.
Man, these levels have been pretty accurate. Look at how we curled back from that. You told us 74.28, right?
Yes, sir. Oh, man. There's the weekly sellers.
Yeah.
So now we are getting the back test of the breakout right here. Let's see if it can hold.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. If not, we'll just capture an extra 13 points and wrap it up there. Tobago saying you'll settle today. You booked the trades on Nasdaq. Good trades. Awesome, awesome. That's good. I know you had a couple red days recently, so good on you, man. I'm glad you were able to print some green today and capture it on the Nasdaq. We did it on the ES because we would have been too late on the NQ. So good job, man. Good job, good job. I'm struggling with my voice a little bit today and stuffy nose.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. No, I'm
no problem.
battling through some some neck pain
Some
here.
neck
So
pain. I was about to ask you, how's that neck doing?
yeah, you're getting old when you just sleep wrong and just completely mess yourself up. So forgive me, I'm not at my most entertaining here, but glad you could take the reins and just crush this trade. That makes my job a lot easier when you're just catching these massive moves. And I do think this is the backtest breakout backtest here. See how it's kind of holding that
Yep.
few pivot kind of green candles when it kind of reclaimed that flag and broke out.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
Let's see what we get. I'm not gonna touch this one. I don't want to do too much. We'll see. But back to getting old. So I saw this. Instagram reel the other day, and it was a joke about a guy in his mid-30s, and he was saying, when you get to your mid-30s, any random thing turns into pain.
Yeah.
And then, he's making the jokes and whatever. And then I start laughing at the joke, and I immediately get like this intense back pain.
No.
So now, not only am I laughing at the joke, I'm laughing at myself for just getting that random pain. And then I can't laugh too much because it's making it worse. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
The vicious cycle there for sure. No,
Yep.
I resonate. So that's what I have to look forward to. Just more of that. Good to know.
Well, you need to. My wife is always saying I need to stretch more, so maybe stretching might help with the neck. But it's an annoying place to I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to get in there. So I'm doing a lot of this, a lot of YMCA
type moves.
Read my mind. Yeah, exactly, dude. It's all you can do. So thanks for bearing with me here, because everything I'm just like, you got like it's like you're wearing a headband with the tension. So I'm just barely seeing the candles here, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there. Let's think. Somu trade saying Nvidia earnings affecting the market. Yeah, that's definitely going to affect the market. Nvidia is huge right now, $1 trillion company. So gold touch with the FEG. Well, thank you. Don't really use FEGs, but I point them out for you guys. Do I think the news-driven upward move is sustainable when I look at the volume flow? We've definitely seen decreasing volume, so we've definitely seen decreasing volume while we're moving up. So we could call that somewhat of a divergence. But my point is, we've seen a first impulse, and we could consider that, maybe the second one, but I'm expecting at least a third one, and I'm expecting shorts to get squeezed again. So that's what I'm waiting for. And I basically have two areas where, okay, if it hits this, I'm wrong. But until it moves lower than this, I could technically be right. So I've made my profit. As I like to tell you guys, you have the payroll and the bonus. I made the payroll. Now I'm just looking for the bonus.
Love it. Love it.
And the first one is to satisfy my pocket. The second one is to satisfy my ego. Or where is your ego, actually? I'm pointing to my head. Where is it? Where's your ego located? We don't know.
Head's good. Because yeah, it's very much like I will go against the feelings in my body when I'm listening to my ego. It's like I know something's true, but I still want to have this happen.
Exactly.
So for SPX here, and by extension ES, we're just literally pinning right at the SPX 74,000 or 7,400. So this is just like as wait and see as you can get. So I love your approach of, hey, let the initial idea play out, and if it works, it works. If not, well, you already made your big money. So I love that, and I don't really have a read until, like I said, we see more either come in above or below and try to guide us. Bias is up because we had that big green candle back test, and it looks still constructive in my book. But hey, they can always mess with you here at these pivot points. That's why they're pivot points.
Exactly, they can mess with you. So how could I put this? It was very painful for me to be in a trade, have a great entry, have an area of, okay, where I could get out. And then because of, this type of price action, I say, oh man, it's not going to work. And you get out. And, as it usually happens, right after you get out, that thing completely reverses and goes straight to your take profit. So over time, I decided that, okay, I need to do both. You need to get paid. And me personally, I need to satisfy that ego to avoid doing stupid stuff. So that's the reason why I found that, okay, having an area where I decide, okay, I'm completely wrong, but I accept to make less money if I'm wrong, and then I could be completely right. I'm getting lost in my thoughts here, but the idea is, hey, you have to satisfy the pocket, and then you can choose to satisfy the ego as well. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely with you, man. It's just a balancing act for me, where it's like it's like, for me, it's always like a video game. Like I have these different like meters, and it's like, okay, my willpower meter gets depleted when they do stuff like the morning session where they run my position fine, and maybe I made a little, maybe I stopped out, but I feel less sure of myself, or my confidence meter. And then sometimes I'm really feeling myself and I feel that ego meter building, and then that's the danger one, because usually when I'm like, oh my goodness, he can't miss, he's a sniper, oh my goodness, look at him go, everything, and then it's like, okay, this will get me in trouble. I will either oversize or to take some consecutive losses, or miss a big play because I'm just too set in my own mind. So I always got to be mindful of that meter too. But I always say, David, you got to have an ego to trade to some degree.
Of course.
So it's like this tightrope walk.
You gotta, it's a balancing act, like you said. Yeah, definitely. Let me take some of those comments here. You got $70 after the bounce. Good. Definitely a respectable amount there.
Stack those small wins and they compound. And let's be honest, $70, that's not insignificant amount of money. I think sometimes traders were like, oh, if it's not $1,000, what are you even, now like little wins add up. That's a couple of nice lunches.
Exactly. Lunches. I mean, $70, that'll pay for my internet connection. So yeah, for a whole month. So it's definitely a respectable amount. How long will it last? We finished the broadcast at 11 a.m. Eastern. So we have about 15 minutes left on the stream. Nice info. You'll get the dollar. Okay. Shankram saying you've taken notes from today's session. There were some good trading tips. Awesome.
Absolutely. If I could just tag in on that, it's a good session because this happens about 30% of the time statistically, where they run the opening range in both directions. So this is where you can look at the 15-minute orb or opening range break and the 30-minute. And this is why I really prefer to trade the 30 minutes, because the 30-minute one is often the one that is going to follow through. So this one was a double mess with you, and that happens about a little less than 1/3 of the time. So it is tricky, but it's just important to like think in probabilities. Like 1/3 of the time, it's going to look really good in one direction. Then 15 minutes later, it's going to look really good in the other direction.
The other one, yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, you get you one last time.
Yep.
So, and about 34% of the time, you do get the opening range, just straight follow through. So again, you can't just assume, but you got to be looking for how price reacts at each of these levels. For example, Dave, you were really good at identifying that big surge on the reversal of the opening range. And so you were like, okay, I'm calling BS on this dropping down there, it's showing its hand. And that's where you're really going to get a higher win rate than just by blindly playing these systems. Like if an algorithm was trading this, they're going to be wrong a lot more than you once you get good at this, because you're able to identify different characteristics, and you're watching these key levels and key time frames just to see what happens there, not with this dogmatic view of like, okay, it's 15 minutes, therefore if this candle goes slightly below here, I'm all in short, Yeah, so just lots to learn in this session, especially about how to kind of temper expectations, because this unfortunately does happen like 1/4 to 1/3 of the time, and it's tough.
Exactly. And, to keep going, to keep your losses under control, and to keep taking those trades when they make sense, because I was on basically 3 back-to-back losses. But hey, like I was telling the guys, if you spread it out over a year, you're going to take 1,000 trades. What's 3 losses? I won't even remember these trades in a couple weeks. So yeah, totally agree. Let me take some of those comments here. Actually saying, screenshot my strategy. Screenshot it, record it. That's why it's here. It's on YouTube, so you don't even need to screenshot. You could just play the video as many times as you want. That's what we want.
I'll go one step further. You can download it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Save it forever. And by the way, Shakram, thank you very much. It's nice to meet you as well. I'm really excited to trade more futures going forward, because I do think you kind of have the secret. Everybody else is trading equities, and it's a lot tougher. You get really clean moves.
It's tough, man. Equities is tough. I'm lazy. I can't do. It's like, especially if you're trading small caps, you kind of have to do research, and I just don't have it in me anymore.
Right. And it feels like a knife fight. It doesn't feel nearly as consistent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works amazingly well.
Yeah, of course. When you get those morning gappers and then they just explode 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be nice. That usually doesn't happen to me. I did catch, I don't do like the penny stocks, but I do play some small cap stuff.
Okay.
But I've just been noticing, like, I caught LPTH this week. It was a nice high time frame structure. I won't bore you too much, but the point is, I caught a 15% move, but I was sweating every second of it, and I held overnight one night. I managed to just get out, with the limit order right at the open, and it worked. But it's this kind of thing where, like, pre-market, it's up 4%, and I'm like, I've been here so many times. I know what's going to happen. It's going to drop 3% into the open. It's going to be up 1%, and that's going to disappear so fast. They've trapped everybody in this pre-market liquidity move. And then, lo and behold, luckily I did get out, but it's down 6% now.
Yeah.
It's just, well, at least was a few minutes ago, a while ago. Regardless, it never feels good. It doesn't feel good. Like, futures feel like I learn how to fish, and then I just keep going to the pond with my rod, and I'm gonna come home with something. Maybe not every day, but usually on average, gonna come home with something. And the peace of mind of not feeling like I have to, touch that stove of like all these random, variables, that's very comforting. And it just reminded me of what you said about, like, what's 3 losses in a row? In a year, I'm not going to remember. In a month, I'm not going to remember. In a week, I'm not going to remember.
Yeah.
Same thing with missing these setups. Like, I'll be like, oh my God, look at this small cap. It's ran 1,000%. How did I not play that? Or, maybe I was looking at this and it ran up 20%. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? Well, it's just kind of a big step in my trading journey, just saying, hey, I'm going to miss one of those. I'm going to miss a lot of those every single day. In fact, I can miss all of them and it doesn't matter, because price action is replicable or repeatable, Trading setups, systems trading, they're repeatable. You could give me anything. I could do this on, Forex. I could do this on commodities. I could do this on X, Y, and Z. So why does it matter? Why don't I trade the thing that's easiest, that has the highest liquidity, that I know there's going to be a buyer and a seller exactly where I want it, and where I have the kind of luxury of leverage in a safe way. And so just ticking all the boxes with futures right there.
Definitely. And I mean, to add to what you were saying here, you get those, crazy moves, and something you don't know when you're starting out, but you eventually find out, is that those crazy moves keep happening, and they get crazier and crazier. So yeah, you missed a trade today, you missed 2 trades this week, you missed 11 trades this month that were crazy, that you thought were crazy. And then next month it gets even crazier, and you actually catch it this time. So, the opportunities are always there in all markets, but I think they're always there in the futures markets.
Absolutely.
So definitely, again, I'm biased, but I've seen it so many times. I remember the first time I saw 1,000-point day on the Nasdaq. I was like, man, this is insane. This is never happening again. And I didn't catch it and whatever. And then, well, there was another 1,000-point day, and there was another, and especially with Trump. I mean, come on, we're getting those on a regular basis. So
yeah, it looks like you're getting a nice push here as well. One thing to note is like the hunt for those big days, the hunt for those big explosive moves. Like if you're not just like, taking them as they come, if you're like, kind of chasing that, you'll usually see a big one, and then it'll make you think that next time it's a similar type setup, but it's more likely that if that's in your like recent memory, then probably there isn't that kind of potential energy that's built up to allow for that 3% move. You don't lightning doesn't strike twice very often, at least. So I've found myself making more mistakes and actually giving money back to the market sometimes, just because an outsized move kind of primes my brain for more than it should. So if we get a big move, I look at it as a cherry on top, like you would kind of call it. What is it?
Your bonus.
Yeah, your bonus. Exactly. There it is. Yeah.
So no, it's exactly, and it's after, that bonus payroll thing came after me missing out on multiple insane days, where I captured, I don't know, 50 points on the NQ and felt like I was, the man, and then that thing moves 10 times more. So from then on, I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself an opportunity that any day, anything could happen. So we get paid, and then we leave some extra for an outsized move if it does happen. You make peace with it. So yeah. Couple questions here. There you go. You're spot on, Steve. FOMO trades are much riskier. Sometimes missing a trade feels more painful than taking a loss. Yep, that is true.
Almost always for me. That's so.
Yeah, me too.
I recognize that this is like one of the most, I don't want to say immature parts of my trading, but it's just part of my mental game that, I recognize it's not correct, but I'm also I know that that's still on the docket for me to tackle completely as a trader. I still get that pang, and I have to go, okay, you are in a window of less reliability in your own analysis right now because of this emotional pull. So I can't necessarily always control that, but I can always acknowledge it and say, I'm not going to take a trade in this lowered probability window. Yeah. So I'm just thinking in bets, and it's like a video game. I have like a debuff on me. It's like I'm taking 20% more damage, So why am I trying to go fight things right now? Yeah. This will fade in a minute or an hour or a day. And then we can take it from there. So we are testing that weekly close again. This is what you like to see in positive gamma, where it's bumping it, comes back down, but it's nice and supportive. Like the market makers are forced to buy on moves away from the high delta node. And that is exactly what we're seeing. Now it's coming up, testing it again. It might reject again, but we should see it hold above that 7,400, where we're just kind of pushing through now and trying to get up to the 7,420 on SPX, which is going to be 7,445 roughly, give or take a few points on ES.
And this is another area where, we've pulled back. We found kind of a support level here. So again, what you can decide to do, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, is you could decide to move your stop and say, okay, I'm going to capture 20 points if this is wrong and doesn't continue to the upside. Why? Because we should see if we're really bullish, we should see follow through here and not see another pullback. So who was asking? Shankram, this is how I manage my stops and manage my risk, and go from, okay, I'm risking, to break even, to I'm making somewhat of a profit, and then I'm making more profit, etc., etc. And I'm also massaging my ego that, okay, I'm still in the trade as this is moving out. I'm not out of the trade trying to, re-enter in some area that doesn't make sense because I got out too early.
Yeah. No,
right.
Absolutely.
And it's purely psychological, because let's say, for example, I had entered here with a larger amount of contracts. I had entered with, I don't know, 10 contracts or 20 contracts instead of a couple like I did here. If I had entered with 20 contracts, even And I've done that. Sometimes I'll just leave one contract on to satisfy that ego, because it's purely psychological. You've made your money already, but I've found myself making mistakes, trying to re-enter, why? Because it's like he just said, sometimes it's more painful to watch the thing go without you than to take a loss. And I kept on trying to fight it and trying not to re-enter trades, and it just didn't work. I was like, all right, let's try another strategy. Let's just be in the trade. And what you can't do though is, if you have one contract there, you don't want to be adding and making that same mistake. So yeah. Well, we're getting to that level here where, so remember guys, I said logical areas where we could take profit is right where we are at right now. Man, what's happening today? So we'll see. I'll go right below that 15-minute wick. Extra 5 points to pay for commissions, and then if it takes off, great. If it doesn't, well, we'll make 20 points on the trade.
No,
that's 20 points.
Exactly where I put the stop, because if it gets down there, it's probably going to be quite a bit of a washout, at least to VWAP. Well, I guess that will be it's still quite a ways. You don't want to give back another 10 points just for no reason. So yeah, that's exactly where I'd put it. It looks like we are reaching up into that target number 2. Very nice.
We are there, yeah. So this is a definite logical area where you could get out of the trade. And I'm just curious. I want to see what's going to happen at 11 o'clock. Are we going to get that flush, or are we going to continue to push up? So purely satisfying the ego there.
I think we squeeze another about 70 cents at least on SPY, because that's going to be getting us up to 74 or 740. So often you can kind of look at all three of these different instruments, which are all tracking essentially the same thing in SPY, ES, and SPX. And you'll see that they have different psychological numbers, which often will, become a magnet. And this is the thing that I'm starting to learn more and more. It's always framed as a psychological level, the 740, the 750. Well, it's not actually just psychological, because that's where the options are pinned to. Yeah. So yeah, it's very, very important. And it's actually not just, oh, these are people selling because they put their order here. That is part of it. But also it's because, well, the market is inclined to gravitate to that point and that point exactly when there's a large amount of gamma on that strike. So nice. that affects mostly SPX, but it does affect ES, especially in the overnight sessions. You'll see, because people are hedging, so those levels tend to be more respected then, as well as SPY during the cash session as well, just because, hey, people still trade that, even if it's not, there's still a lot of premium there, even if SPX is the largest complex there.
Nice. Great insight there. It's not just psychological. A question here. Can I know how you use the 5-minute or 15-minute? Well, honestly, I'm just gauging my my trades there. I'm mostly trading on the 5-minute because the session only lasts 2 hours. So it allows us to find entries and exits. And I'm just using the higher time frames as a gauge to see overall, where are we at, where basically what the higher time frames are showing. Not nothing much there. Maybe trying to find patterns, and we're curling up. So looking, it's 11 o'clock here.
Yeah, time flew once I got here. I appreciate that, because it was a grind.
It's fine. I appreciate you coming. So that's good.
Anytime.
Alrighty, well, it is 11 o'clock, so we're gonna let this do what it's supposed to do and Steve's gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So let's see. Will I be here right at the start? Correct.
Yeah, that's what.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah,
what
I'm
it
looking
should
forward to it. So I will
nice.
I will do my aerobics. I'm gonna
There you
be
go.
ready to go, and we're gonna take some nice futures trades tomorrow for you guys, hopefully.
And then I'll be in a little later as you guys print money.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'll take the mantle, Dave. I'll do my best to catch one of these massive, just fake breakdowns into that failed breakdown into massive big green candle there. We'll see if we get 2 in a row. But it's been fun watching you trade today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on. All right. See you guys tomorrow.